imagine if London was the capital of a new way of actually socially relating to individuals and socially relating to each other. I mean, dare I use a word like socialism. Imagine if London was competing with the rest of the world to be the best socialist city in the world, or the best anarchist city in the world. And in that regard, you'll be surprised, actually, the 99% makes a lot of sense, particularly in urban settings. If I look at New York City and say, who controls the development process in New York City? Okay, is it the 99% or is it the 1%? It's 1%. It's 1% of the developers and the financiers and this billionaire mayor we have, Bloomberg. So it is indeed the 99% of the population in New York doesn't get to actually decide about how the city shall look, what shall happen in the city, and how the city shall be. And I am actually very much in favor of this notion of the right to the city. That all those people who produce and reproduce urban life should have the right to be part of that urban life and receive remuneration for it. And historically, that idea that the people who produce and reproduce the city can claim a right to it is absolutely fundamental to many political movements. And this is one of the ways in which you can mobilize your sense of right. You have a right to this city. You have a right to this space. And actually, what they were trying to tell you was you've gone. You know, and it goes back to this idea, who is the public in public space? And you are establishing that you are the public. And when the authorities come and say, in the public interest, we are going to move you out of here, you say, well, we are the public interest. And we're not moving until you've taken those interests into account. So those are the sorts of ways why, one of the reasons why I think actually mobilizing at the level of the city is a very helpful way to go. And you know, it's kind of easier in some ways, even though London's a very big space, to mobilize a lot of political forces around the question of what is London and how does London work and what is the character of this city and what is this place about ethically and how it defines its ethics and its aesthetics and all the rest of it. You're able to do something with that in ways that it's not so easy to do when you hit the nation level. And again, Bolivia is a very interesting case study. El Alto and Cochabamba are much easier to organize and have much greater political effect. When it goes to the nation, things get much more muddled and much more confused. So sticking at the city level is actually very useful.